Welcome back to Roosevelt Live. This segment of the show, we're going to talk about assisted suicide and free choice. Now, we all know, or most of us do know and heard of Dr. Kevorkian. We know that he was notorious for assisting people with that type of stuff that, was obviously given information that they had illnesses that was terminal. There was no coming back from it, and they chose to, instead of suffering through all the pain and agony and their family members suffering, they chose to say, I would rather just go ahead and leave on my own terms. And so therefore, Dr. Kevorkian used to assist several people in ending their lives at their own hands. And he did it for a while, but at some point, it caught up with him, and he actually went to prison, served several years, gotten out since then. Don't know if he's still assisting anybody or not, because assisted suicide is not legal. But I'm asking you today, if you're in that position with your family or yourself, what would you do? Would you suffer the pain, the agony, the discomfort, the thought of knowing that your life is slipping away? Or would you want the choice? Would you want the choice to say, hey, look, I'm ready to go. I've been here, and this is not going to get any better, and I want to leave, and I want to have my free choice to do so. Do you believe in that? Do you believe people should have a choice to take their own lives? I mean, some people say, well, you know what? They do it in the hospitals when they pull the plug on people. It just happened recently with the Gary Coleman thing, where his ex-wife disconnected. They disconnected the apparatus that was holding him alive, and so, but that's not the same to me as assisted suicide, because they're disconnecting a machine, and that machine is no longer operational. Therefore, the person is not able to survive on their own. Maybe it was a breathing apparatus that was causing their lungs to go up and down. Maybe it was something that was just keeping them alive. Maybe they was in a vegetative state, and then maybe they would slowly slip away. But some people do bring that up, but it is somewhat differences between that and assisted suicide. But in the case of assisted suicide, do you think that if someone came to you and said, hey, look, I want you to administer these, overdose pills to me, or inject me with whatever, would you do it? It's easy to make a comment on something that you've never been in a position to have to really make. I myself don't see myself doing it to anybody, because first of all, it may sound selfish, but they won't be here, and I might be in jail, because if no one believes me, then I could find myself being locked up, and the only witness that would have been available is no longer here. As funny as that may seem, but at the same time, it's illegal anyway. But if we want to change that, maybe we should, people that agree to it, if it's enough people that do agree to that kind of stuff, maybe they should have push for some type of legislation on that to say, hey, look, we want to have this choice. It's to come down to it. We remember several years ago, the lady that was disabled, that had I guess, a heart attack when she was in her early 20s, and her name escapes me right now, but I remember between her husband wanting to disconnect and her parents not wanting to disconnect, it was a long, drawn-out situation that went on for quite a long time, that went all the way to the president's death. At the time, President George Bush was in office, and I remember him passing some type of emergency legislation, or his brother, his brother was the governor at the time, Jeb Bush. I mean, everybody was involved, from the local, state, all the way up to the White House was involved in this issue. And it make you wonder. Her husband, you would think that, hey, look, instead of him pulling the plug on this lady, he could have went on with his life. Her parents said, look, we'll take care of her. You don't have to worry about it. But for some reason, he wanted to discontinue her life by disconnecting whatever apparatus she was using to help keep her alive. And it became a ugly battle over the entire news. And it made me wonder on what would happen if one of my family members was in that situation, or if I myself was in that situation. Would I want to be here? Well, I already know that if it was me, I don't want to be here half-baked, obviously, and I'm sure my family already knows that. But in some cases, people don't have opportunity to discuss that, because a lot of times when we're young, if young people don't think about that kind of stuff, they just figure, what you want to do. And I remember that Terry Schiavo, which was her name now, as it comes to me, I've been a little name-dropping issue earlier. Now I can't seem to remember certain names. But now that I do remember, her name was Terry Schiavo, it was a huge case. And it made me rethink the way I looked at life insurance or death insurance, or all kinds of things. How I looked at in case I was in an accident, how I looked at my my living will to make sure that I wasn't in a situation where it would be a battle between who could and who couldn't. Just you have to all make sure that stuff. But I'm just curious about assisted suicide because it's something that I don't agree with as far as doing it because it would be murdering someone. Just because someone says it's okay to kill me doesn't mean it's okay to kill them. The state, the law says you can't kill people. Even with their permission, you're not allowed to kill people. So obviously assisted suicide is wrong. But if you feel like I do feel people should have their right, I think if they have a right to if they was to reach out and get something themselves or inject themselves or take some type of pills and speed up their life, that between them and their God, whoever that might be in their mind. Because after all, we do kill people in prison. It's kind of funny because if a person goes to prison and we'll put them on a suicide watch, and that means obviously we're watching them to make sure they don't commit suicide because we want to be the one to kill them. Sounds kind of crazy, but it's true because even if somebody got the death penalty and eventually we're going to execute them, but what we don't want them to do is execute themselves, which is somewhat twisted if you think about it, but that's the way we see it. But that's just my opinion. I mean, you tell me what you think. It's a touchy subject. And some people have already gone through these problems in their life where they maybe wish they could have done something to help a loved one. I'm just saying right now, think about it. Tell me what you think. Email me. Give me your opinion. This is a Fair and Balanced show, so whatever your thoughts are, I'm willing to take those and read them out loud and let people know that everything I say don't necessarily have to be agreed with. Disagreements are just as good as agreements. So email me at liveroosevelt@gmail.com or go out and check out segments of the show. There are several weeks out there on the youtube.com/Roosevelt Live. Those are just my opinions. I want to hear your opinion.